Good afternoon, and welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program.
This program is brought to you by the Southwest TV Translator Association and supported by the Dolores County Broadcasting Network on DCTV.
The News at Noon program is the best assembly of news and local weather for the Four Corners region. Give us your feedback and news alerts at 677-4119.
With all that said, I'm Kendra Cook, and my co-hosts are Kelsey Kiesling and Jerry Tope. And now, here's the news for June 13th, 2016. According to the Cortez Journal, prosecutors filed first-degree murder charges last Thursday against 4 men suspected in a home invasion and shooting that left a Fort Lewis College student dead last month in Durango. They face mandatory lifetime prison sentences if convicted of the charge. In addition to first-degree murder, they are charged with 6 counts of burglary, 2 counts of robbery, 4 counts of menacing, and 8 sentence enhancements. They face 2 counts of first-degree murder, even though only 1 person died, one stemming from the robbery and the other directly linked to the death of Samuel Zarius Gordon, age 20, who was shot once in the abdomen. All 4 are suspected of orchestrating a home invasion early May 24th to rob Gordon of his alleged marijuana. Cody Maz E. Quatley, 19 of Phoenix, and Quatletco Garcia, 21 of Scottsdale, Arizona, were formally advised of the charges Thursday in 6th Judicial District Court. The 2 other suspects, Daniel Nelson Wright, 20, and Alvin Noel Flores, 22, both of Phoenix, were advised Thursday afternoon. All 4 remain jailed on $500,000 bond. District Judge Jeffrey Wilson oversaw Thursday's advisement hearings, but the cases are expected to be transferred to District Judge William Herringer. Defense lawyers have filed several motions that are common in high-profile murder cases, including one requesting that police be prohibited from commenting further about the case. According to earlier interviews with police, Quatley knew Gordon had a large amount of marijuana in his home at 253 Jenkins Ranch Road and arranged to have his friends from Arizona come help rob Gordon. According to the reports after the incident, the men fled the house without the marijuana. Police executed a search warrant and found 9.1 pounds of illegally processed marijuana and more than $20,000 in Gordon's room.
According to the Cortez Journal, Governor John Hickenlooper vetoed legislation that rural Colorado hospitals said was necessary to address a conundrum with mental health holds. The late Thursday afternoon veto killed legislation that would have created a tiered system where facilities designated for mental health holds would have been the primary location, but if those facilities were unavailable, then the next tier would have been an emergency room. Rural Colorado hospitals pointed to their difficult position as there is a lack of designated facilities to comply with law and offer patients adequate mental health treatment. When a designated facility is unavailable, then patients are brought to a jail. Because there is a lack of compliant facilities in rural Colorado, jail is often the only option. Hickenlooper acknowledged that there is a problem with finding facilities, but his office fears that the bill would have eroded due process. No limit is placed on how long an emergency room may detain someone involuntarily while awaiting a free bed in a suitable treatment facility, and, more importantly, no mechanism is made to afford due process to a person held involuntarily in emergency custody, the governor wrote in his veto letter. Hickenlooper directed the Department of Human Services to create a task force to develop solutions to address the problem. The task force will report by January 2017, so legislation could come in the next legislative session.
The Durango Herald reported gunshots were reportedly fired last week during a family-employee disturbance at Colorado State Representative J. Paul Brown's sheep ranch near Ignacio. The La Plata County Sheriff's Office said Friday it is investigating, but no arrests have been made and no charges have been filed. Brown was not at the ranch at the time of the incident, which occurred about 5 p.m. on June 5th. According to restraining orders filed in La Plata County Court, Michael David Brooks was providing alcohol to Navajo sheep herders working at the ranch. Luke Brown, the son of J. Paul Brown, confronted Brooks about the situation, and Brooks became verbally and physically abusive. Brooks is Luke Brown's brother-in-law. Brooks and Brown chest bumped, and according to Luke Brown's motion for a protection order, he jabbed a finger into him. Brooks then left the ranch only to return minutes later, grabbed a rifle from Luke Brown's pickup, and fired rounds at a barn or some other metal object, according to Brown's report. The shots were fired in the general direction of Luke Brown and his mother, Debbie Brown. Brooks apparently left the ranch, and the La Plata County Sheriff's Office began a search for him. Dan Bender, spokesman for the Sheriff's Office, said the case remains under investigation. Luke Brown, Debbie Brown, and Stacy Brown, who is Michael Brooks' sister, all filed for protection orders in La Plata County Court. A hearing on the orders is scheduled for next week. J. Paul Brown said he was in Denver at the time, but he returned home to help deal with the situation. Representative Brown said, "I'm hopeful that he's gone back to the state of Washington, where he's from."
According to the Cortez Journal, Governor John Hickenlooper on Friday signed a measure that will gradually allow the sale of full-strength alcohol in grocery stores. The governor said he struggled with the legislation, which was considered one of the most significant bills to make it through the legislature this year, as it will bring the biggest change to state liquor laws since Prohibition. He signed the bill on the last day for his decision, and it was the last piece of legislation he acted on from the legislative session that ended in May. In the end, we thought it was more important to sign this bill just to send a pretty strong message that this is an appropriate compromise, Hickenlooper said to a throng of media gathered in his office. A question hangs over the process. A handful of grocery stores are collecting signatures to place an initiative on the November ballot that would allow the sale of full-strength beer and wine in grocery stores. It would not include liquor as the bill allows. It is deeply disappointing that Governor Hickenlooper signed this flawed and unconstitutional legislation that only protects a handful of big liquor stores and liquor lobbyists, said Georgie Aguirre-Sacasa, campaign manager for the initiative. Your Choice Colorado will continue to weigh our options to keep standing by the voters, giving them the ability to make their voices heard amidst this broken system, whether through a legal challenge to this sloppy bill or, as planned, taking it to the ballot. Under the bill, full-strength alcohol sales would be phased in over 20 years, with grocery stores allowed to gradually purchase 20 licenses. After that, stores would be allowed to obtain unlimited licenses. Actual sales, however, would not begin until 2019.
From the Cortez Journal, the Archaeological Conservancy announced last week that it is raising funds for the acquisition of the Holmes Group Archaeological Site, a significant Chaco community. The site, located in San Juan County northwest of Farmington, is considered one of the largest and most complex of the Chaco period occupation sites. The Conservancy Group plans to raise funds for its purchase through generosity by Indiegogo online. The group began negotiating with the owner of the property in 1981, but had no success until the owner's children agreed to sell the site for long-term preservation. The Holmes Group was first recorded by W.H. Holmes in 1875 and again by Nussbaum in 1935. Despite episodes of looting, the site contains large areas of undisturbed cultural material that have the potential to yield important information. A 1984 archaeological survey of the site identified 2 great houses, 2 possible great kivas, 2 cobble masonry bi-wall structures, and an impressive circular road or enhanced areola, a 1,000-foot diameter earthwork circle enclosing the center of the community. The 1984 survey identified a total of 127 surface features and structures. The Holmes Group is considered to be the most intact of all the major La Plata Valley Chaco period occupation sites. The site is a region of ongoing oil and gas development and faces new development. The Archaeological Conservancy, established in 1980, is dedicated to acquiring and preserving the best of our nation's remaining archaeological sites. Based in Albuquerque, the Conservancy also operates regional offices in Mississippi, Maryland, Ohio, and California.
According to the Cortez Journal, on Friday there was not enough support on a BLM Citizen Advisory Council to recommend the BLM pursue a master leasing plan for future oil and gas development in eastern Montezuma County and western La Plata County. I think we are in agreement that an MLP is not warranted, said Ernie Williams, a member of the Southwest Resource Advisory Council and a Dolores County Commissioner. There are plenty of controls in the current BLM Resource Management Plan. SWRAC member James Dietrich, representing Dispersed Recreation, agreed that current BLM regulations allow for adequate protection of popular trails that concern the public. We want protection for our trails at Phil's World, but there are ways to achieve that other than an MLP, he said. The majority of the SWRAC board's 13 members at the meeting concluded an MLP was not necessary after a 5-hour discussion at the Mancos Community Center. However, it was not unanimous among the board. Colorado Parks and Wildlife and other environmental interests leaned toward supporting one. Our agency supports an MLP and believe it will benefit wildlife because it offers better protection and is more site-specific, said SWRAC member and CPW official Renzo Del Piccolo. The master leasing plan idea was floated by the Tres Rios BLM office early last year, triggering a series of community meetings over many months. And now, here's our weather report.
There's a low-pressure system on the move crossing our area from the west and southwest today, and our best chance of rain is early this afternoon beginning at 1 p.m. There will be a few strong storms, and the winds coming out of these cells will have gusts near 50 miles per hour with small hail on the margins of some cells possible. These cells will give short duration and heavy rains. By later this evening, these will begin to pass through and clear out by midnight. Tuesday, we'll see a pattern like last week with afternoon heat producing some small activity in the higher elevations. Wednesday, a trough along the west coast will bring a dry flow through our area with winds gusting near 30, and fire weather is a concern. Thursday, we'll see a strong ridge in the plains spreading back to the west with a center just south of the Four Corners by the weekend. This will give afternoon temps in the lower valleys south of us above 100 degrees. So fire conditions then will be critical as fuels become very dry. Scattered showers will persist over the New England through Tuesday with an upper level system moving through to the east. A majority of the lower Great Lakes and Mid-Atlantic regions will be mostly dry today as a surface high pressure moves in. And then another round of showers and thunderstorms is forecast for this evening through at least Wednesday morning as another surface low pressure system advances to the east. A weak upper level low over the southern plains and lower Mississippi Valley, combined with moisture streaming northward from the Gulf of Mexico, will help generate showers and thunderstorms across the southern plains. Strong daytime heating will push those storms. The Storm Prediction Center has identified areas from the Texas Panhandle to southeast Montana with a slight risk for severe storms. Enhanced risks over northeast Wyoming, southeast Colorado, western Nebraska, and northwest Kansas. These enhanced risk areas are the areas marked in the red where flash flood conditions are also possible. As a low-pressure system and its associated fronts crosses the Rockies and advances eastward, the area of increased risk will shift further into the Central Plains and Midwest for tomorrow and Wednesday. Showers and thunderstorms will develop over parts of central California and the Great Basin eastward to the central and southern Rockies today. On Tuesday, the energy will reinforce the weak front over the upper Midwest and Central Plains. The system is producing rain over parts of the Pacific Northwest today and will expand inland to parts of the northern Rockies and northern Intermountain region by tomorrow morning. In our 5-day forecast for the 5 days beginning tomorrow, temps will be slightly cooled for Tuesday, as today's system will give its last buffer to our temperatures. So, low 80s tomorrow, climbing from Wednesday to Saturday, reaching the low 90s here at least, and much higher for parts immediately to our south. Lows are to be in the 40s for pleasant nights. A windy Wednesday with lots of sunshine for Thursday and onward as well. Our CO2 stats for last week are 406.86 parts per million. Week before last, 407.53 parts per million. 1 year ago, 403.30 parts per million. 10 years ago, 384.44 parts per million. And now back to the news.
According to the Cortez Journal, Kemper Elementary students Miles Frost, Gail Garcia, Christian Rebaza, Cecilia Tom, and Trinity Tillahash were invited back to Washington, D.C. on Monday, June 6th, to help harvest the White House kitchen garden with First Lady Michelle Obama. The same group of students helped plant vegetables in the garden in April, along with students from school garden programs in Wisconsin, Louisiana, and Washington, D.C. They traveled through the Montezuma School to Farm Project. Celebrity chefs Rachel Ray and Frankie Salenza also helped harvest the produce and cook a meal. They helped harvest vegetables including cauliflower, broccoli, and peas to cook a vegetable curry with Indian naan. After harvesting and cooking, Michelle Obama sat down at the table with the Kemper students to share the meal. They talked with the First Lady about how fun it was to be back and how fast the plants had grown, Christian said. Miles said he taught the First Lady how to say hummingbird and a few other words in Navajo. Trinity said she talked to Ray about her shows and how her mom learned how to cook from watching her shows.
Written in the Durango Herald from Denver, Republican U.S. Senate candidate Robert Blaha has a product guarantee. The product is himself the guarantee if he doesn't cut the federal deficit by 50%, reduce illegal immigration by 50%, and bring tax reforms, including a repeal of the estate tax, then he would not run for a second term. The 61-year-old Colorado Springs businessman grew up in Iowa. After holding senior management positions with 4 major corporations, including Ford Motor Company, Blaha moved to Colorado Springs at age 37. He co-founded Integrity Bank and Trust, where he serves as vice chairman of its board. In 1993, Blaha founded Human Capital Associates, a consulting firm. His successes have allowed him to make a $1 million investment into his own campaign. Some of his business pursuits have failed, and he ran unsuccessfully against U.S. Representative Doug Lamborn in the 5th Congressional District Republican primary in 2012. Blaha acknowledges his larger-than-life personality. When he kicked off his campaign in January, Blaha sent bobbleheads of U.S. Senator Michael Bennet to newsrooms across the state, suggesting that Bennet is one of the chief bobbleheads in the circus that is the U.S. Senate. Blaha is competing against 4 other Republicans in the June 28th primary to run against Democratic Senator Bennet this November. Ballots were mailed last week to those affiliated with a party. Unaffiliated voters can affiliate with a party anytime through primary election day on June 28th. However, if they wish to receive a mailed ballot, they must affiliate by June 20th. Completed ballots must be received by 7 p.m. June 28th, and they can be returned by mail or dropped off at 24-hour drop boxes.
According to the Durango Herald, a month after the Santa Rita Park playground was stormed by tiny trespassers, youngsters will be welcomed back. The area will officially open Tuesday afternoon. The city is calling all children to celebrate the opening after a short ceremony, said Kathy Metz, Parks and Recreation Director. There was some confusion in early May about whether the playground was open, and the status of the playground has been a hot topic for Parks and Rec, Metz says. While the city doesn't usually dedicate playgrounds, so many people have asked for a grand opening, the department decided to host one. The inspiration for the $375,000 playground came from Durango High School students who brought ideas for a more accessible playground to the Durango Parks and Recreation Department in 2014. The freshman students studied accessibility issues and looked for ways to apply what they learned in the community. While the wood chips used for many playgrounds are acceptable under federal law for those with disabilities, the rubberized material at Santa Rita Park that was poured over concrete is much easier for those using wheelchairs and crutches. It is the only playground in the city to have this material. A $150,000 state grant from the Energy Impact Assistance Fund helped make it possible for the city to fulfill the students' vision. It replaced a structure from the 1980s for which the city could no longer find replacement parts.
Written for the Cortez Journal, the Southwest Colorado Accelerator Program for Entrepreneurs, or SCAPE, has received funding from the Economic Development Administration's EDA I-6 grant application by the Telluride Foundation. The funds are for building a Southwest Innovation Corridor and will be up to $110,000. SCAPE was included as a grant partner by the Telluride Foundation to cover Southwest Colorado with accelerator efforts to create and develop high-growth, job-creating companies. SCAPE is a 6-month program offering in-depth mentoring by subject matter experts, office space, and capital to help new businesses launch and enter markets. Since beginning in 2013, the program has worked with 15 local businesses and created 36 jobs in Southwest Colorado. They have raised over $3 million of capital to grow their business, and the majority of this money has been spent locally. Scape companies have been featured in Cadillac commercials, the Modern Family TV show, Denver News, Amazon Launchpad, Inc.com, TechCrunch, and Product Hunt. Local companies can apply to be a part of the 2017 Scape program when the application opens on September 1st, 2016. For more information about Scape, go to www.goscape.org.
And now the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of June 6th through June 12th. Deputies responded to a cold report of damage on an address sign, presumably caused by a semi-truck. Investigated a report involving possible telephone fraud and identity theft. Several reports were made this week regarding telephone scams. A deputy stopped a vehicle reported by a motorist to have been speeding toward town from Dolores. A deputy is investigating a report of a resident accused of unlawful possession of a weapon. That's it for today's roundup. Stay tuned this week for more updates.
In today's High Country happenings, June 22nd and 23rd, STEM Robotics Camp for boys and girls 8 through 12 will be held at the Dove Creek Community Center. Join in the free fun and lunch will be provided. To sign up, call Gus at the CSU Extension Office at 677-2283. This is a one-day hands-on energy experiment. Sign up closes on June 15th. Mancos Half Marathon 5K Fun Run will be June 25th. This is a fundraiser for the Mancos Public Library. Packet pickup is Friday and race day starting at 6 a.m. is on Saturday. And in my endnote, nearly everyone has enjoyed drawing with a crayon at one time growing up. Known worldwide, they won a gold medal at the 1904 St. Louis World Exposition, so they've been around a while. Have you ever wondered what the name Crayola crayon came from? From a neat site called todayifoundout.com, here's the answer. The word Crayola was originally thought up by Alice Binney. A one-time school teacher, she combined the French word cray, meaning chalk, with ola, shortened from the French word oleagineux, meaning oily. The word crayon existed long before Crayola crayons were invented. It first appeared around the 16th century in the French language and meant chalk pencil, and later just shortened to pencil, as it still means today. Hence, given the origin of the words, Crayola crayon more or less just means oily chalk pencil. Alice Binney's husband, Edwin, along with his cousin Harold Smith, founded Binney & Smith in 1885. They originally produced various pigments, such as chemicals used to make tires black, which drastically increases the durability of the tires over natural rubber, which is white, as well as red iron oxide pigment used in the now classic Red Barn paint. The wax Crayola crayon itself was simply a modified version of an industrial product Binney & Smith sold, typically used to mark crates and barrels. This, however, was not safe for children to use as it contained certain toxic chemicals to achieve the necessary colors. They soon found ways to modify the ingredients to make them kid-safe, using non-toxic pigments, and began marketing these wax-based crayons to children, with wrappers around the sticks, and to artists without wrappers. Today, Binney & Smith, which in turn owns Crayola, is owned by Hallmark Cards Inc., who purchased Binney & Smith in 1984. So now I guess the writing's on the wall. And when it is, sites online suggest using Mr. Clean Magic Erasers, baby oil, microfiber cloths, or even WD-40 to get those oily crayon marks wiped clean. All of the Happenings segment is posted on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page. If you have a suggestion, you can email us at dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station at 677-4119.
Again, thanks for tuning in. This program is aired live at noon Monday through Wednesday and rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m. on Channel 32.1 Dolores County, on Channel 30.4 in Montezuma County, and their cable Channel 5.
And you can also rewatch the broadcasts on YouTube. Search DCTV News at Noon, and please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Talk Tuesday tomorrow will be all things barbecue. Just to whet your appetite, why not call in and grill us on the best techniques for delicious summertime cooking? That's directly following the news.
For Kendra Cook, Jerry Tope, and all those who are working to bring you DCTV and the News at Noon program from Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. See you next time.